Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. I'm your host Scott and back with me after paternity leave is my good friend Dan. Dan, welcome back. How have things been over the last few weeks? I'm sure people listening are keen to hear how sleep deprived you are.
Well, that's the main thing. Sleep deprivation. It's quite. I wouldn't say it was bad actually. We've been handed a pretty good card or good set, you know, because we're sleeping every 3 or 4 hours, and it's quite good, nice. To be fair.
Nice.
Yeah, it is quite good. So no complaints. But yes, it's not. I'm not used to, because I used to be someone. Well, I still am someone that needs to function off like 7 hours sleep.
Yeah, that will change.
It's quite difficult. But yeah, no, generally everything is good. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely, it's good to have you back as well. Like, I didn't force you to come back for this podcast whatsoever. Like, I was fully expecting to get another guest on. Like, we had Steve last week for the Aussie preview.
Yeah, that went well.
But you couldn't stay away for long.
No, especially when you've got the Aussie trials that are happening right now, because we're recording on a Tuesday, and then you've got the American trials, which we're going to preview now. It's a difficult time to be away from swimming, so I want to try and stay immersed in it. And then, of course, in 6 weeks' time, roughly speaking, we've got the Paris Olympics, so it's a big deal. Can't miss it for too long.
Absolutely. So Dan's just given away what we're doing on this week's podcast. We are, of course, previewing the US Trials 2024, which, for some, is going to be bigger than the Olympic Games. Like, it's bigger on the venue, is actually bigger.
Well, we'll talk about that, because that's massive.
It might be harder to get on the podium of this event than it is the Olympic Games in some aspects. That is the depth of US swimming. This is where they come to the forefront. Whether they will all win golds at the Olympics is another thing. We can get to that later. But this is certainly the deepest trials in the world. They will take a full squad of 2 swimmers in pretty much every single event. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is just a different level. Like, just of pictures of the venue. Let's start there, Dan.
Well, you must have seen clips or time lapses of, because it's in a football stadium, isn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's in the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts football stadium. And I thought, oh, you know what? It's not gimmicky, but I thought it's quite hard to make a stadium that big when you cut it in half, because that's what it is for the Olympic pool to fit in, to make it look not like the pool's like tiny.
Yeah.
But it looks incredible.
Oh man, I was saying to you, like, watching the clips, and it just looks incredible. And of course, they're in their marketing phase right now, trying to sell it with their mascot and jumping in the pool, stuff like that. The spectacle based on last year with the flame and the fireworks or whatever else, the big screen, the massive screen in the pool side.
Yeah, like, American sports love screens.
They do that really well, don't they? And it would be amazing to go and watch that trials one year, but I know it's quite expensive to go there. One for flights, obviously, and then to get the tickets and then hotels, etc.,
work,
and all of that stuff. But I tell you what, the atmosphere is going to be, I'm imagining, quite spectacular.
I'm looking forward to the amount of content coming out of it as well, because they've done a really good thing in like bringing almost Carl Stockwell not in-house, but they've supported him in the lead up to it, which means he's in a really good place to pump out some great individual content, and we're certainly going to be checking out what he's doing, keeping up to date with that. But before we get to the meet, we're going to give our British opinion on the racing that's happening, because there's some deep events which will see Olympic champions pretty much crowned from qualifying, if that makes sense, in some of them.
Yeah, I think so.
So where do you want to start with, Dan? Do you want to start with the women?
We'll start with the women. Yeah, let's go for the women.
I'll start with the staple name to start with. Let's kick things off with Katie Ledecky. So we, at the time of this recording, have just seen what Ariane Titmus has done in the 400 meters freestyle, getting millimeters within her own world record. Ledecky, I think, has some work to do in the 4 free. The 8 and the 15, she's looked incredibly good over the past few years, like back to her best.
Yeah.
And world records in those, I wouldn't be surprised if they go. The 4 free is where I'm interested.
Hold on, wait, rewind.
Not at this meet, at the Olympics.
Okay. Right,
the Olympics down the line. Like, she's not really going to have to taper for those 2 at this meet.
I wouldn't have thought so.
She's one of the few who go into this she can probably train through.
Yeah, I mean, even the 400, I think the next closest swimmer is Bella Sims, who's like 4-5 seconds behind her, based on lifetime best, of course. And then you've got Katie Grimes on the distance events, but I don't know if she's going to be targeting the 4 AM more so than the distance events. I imagine she'll do all of them, obviously. But, No,
I'm just thinking the 4 free, seeing Titmus go a 3:55, and you're Ledecky, you're both essentially at the same point of your training heading into the Olympics. do you lay down a marker? Do you try and get close to it again, or do you hold your cards close to your chest?
I think as of right now, it's just all about qualifying, isn't it? So as long as she goes sub 4, which is what Summer McIntosh has done, even though she wasn't very happy with that sub 4, I think a sub 4 is kind of like
I think the rest of her week went pretty well, though.
Well, it did, didn't it? Yeah, it did. I think the 4-minute mark is the sort of standard for these top 3 swimmers right now. So as long as she goes that, I think she'll be relatively happy. And then
4 minute. I think she'll be disappointed if she's only sub 4 minutes.
Do you reckon? I honestly think, I mean, I don't know if she's going to be tapering for this because, quite frankly, she doesn't need to, as long as she hits the qualification time, which she will. And I just think that 4-minute barrier is a bit of like a confidence builder as well. As long as she does that, then she'll be happy to do the 8 and 15 later on in the meet, as well as at Paris as well.
Is there any other distance swimmers who potentially could join Ledecky on this team, or you're looking forward to? Because I know they've already got one Olympian qualified on the women's side, or if not 2, but Katie Grimes is the name
I'd say
comes
Katie Grimes
to mind because of open water.
Yeah.
She's gonna do the 4 AM, which we'll get to, which she's head and shoulders. Can she get to Ledecky's level in the 8 and the 15?
I don't think anyone gets Ledecky's level at all in the 8 or the 15.
Can she join her?
On the plane, yes, yeah. I think she'll go for both of those events. I know there's a couple of girls that could challenge Katie for that second spot, but I think she is the favourite or second favourite to join Ledecky on those 2 events.
You say that. I'm just looking at the entry times in the 1500. She's 30 seconds behind Ledecky on entry. What on earth?
That's basically a length, isn't it? Or it is a length. Yeah,
oh
that's
how good Ledecky is. It's still. Do you know what? We take it for granted a lot of the time, don't we?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think we're going to miss her when she does eventually retire, because there's no one close to her on those distance events. And if there's a guaranteed gold at Paris, it's going to be probably Ledecky yet again in both the 8 and the 15, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's a sure thing.
Well, yeah, I'd probably throw a few more in that now. Summer in the 4 AM, she's guaranteed.
Oh yeah, that is actually more of a guarantee. Well, they're both the same.
Well,
yeah, they're both.
They're pretty much the same level.
They're both guaranteed, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did find out a stat actually because Ledecky is the youngest winner of the 800 at the Olympics, being 15 back in London. But then she's also the oldest when she won it at Tokyo. So in theory, she's going to win it again, and she'll be further extend that record of being the oldest.
She's also said she's going to go to LA as well.
Well, you might as well finish at a home Olympics. I don't blame
fantastic.
Her. Yeah.
Okay, so we're not, as part of this podcast, I'll just put that out there now as we start heading through. We're not going to be able to cover every single event and every single swimmer. It's not like the British trials where we want you sitting here for 2.5 hours going through it, but we'll go through the main names. So I think the next best place is like the IMs. So we've spoken about Katie Grimes in the 4 AM. I think at this point, Katie Grimes is leading the silver charge behind Summer McIntosh when it comes to the Olympics, and I think she's a good 5 seconds ahead of the rest of the field in the 4 AM.
Yeah, well, actually, looking at the start list, there's a few names here because Emma Wayant actually won a medal last time at Tokyo, so she's obviously a name to watch out for. Leah Hayes is this young swimmer coming through who's now, how old is she now? 19, I think she is.
Yeah, you say young swimmer, she's older than Katie Grimes.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, funny that. It feels like Katie Grimes has just been around for forever.
Yeah.
But I would say, based on this American race, the 400 IM, I think she goes in as favourite to win that. She'll then qualify for Paris, and then when it comes to Paris, no one's beaten Summer McIntosh. Like, she's hitting a world record for fun at the moment. Like, to break the world record by over a second is just massive. So if Katie Grimes, I think she's definitely going to medal, and I think the silver is within grasp, but definitely she's a favourite for that. Big fight for the bronze, though. I think that goes anywhere else. I don't know where.
Yeah. 2 AM at the US trials. I think this is a really good place to touch upon, like Kate Douglas. So she's going to be heading in fastest seed for the 2 AM. I think she's fastest seed for the 53 and fastest seed for the 2 breaststroke. There or thereabouts, maybe with Lily King.
Yeah.
Is there a more versatile swimmer in the planet right now? Like, there's versatile in terms of swimming loads of different events, but quite similar events. But she does sprint freestyle 50, where she's incredibly good. She does 200 breaststroke, which is endurance as it gets.
Yeah, if you like. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Technical, extremely technical, and then
tactical.
Yeah, and then 2 AM, which is the best all-round swimmer in the world to do 2 IM.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's leading the way in that. And in fact, she's one of the 3 that we're putting in that podium fight come the 2 IM.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing how her week goes and how she juggles all of those various computations because I'm sure she'll throw in like the 100 free in there, maybe the 100 breaststroke.
She'll definitely do the 100 free.
Very busy week.
Yeah, she's definitely going to do the 100 free, mainly for the relay options as well. And she may even win the 100 free, like 52-point swimmer. So she's 52-point swimmer for the 100 free. Then she goes to 207 for the 200 IM. Then she does 220 or 219, I think, for the 200 breaststroke. It's she's quite a versatile swimmer. And like you say, it's the events that aren't your standard ones. Like, for example, Molly O'Callaghan has just done a 57 point for the 100 backstroke, but then she's also pretty good at freestyle as well. But you can kind of interchange those strokes a little bit. They're both alternate. They both
different
rotate.
Distances
And the distances as well. That's what I was going to allude to as well. But when you've got the 100 free and then you've got the 200 breaststroke, they could not be any more different. And the fact that she does it at a world-class level to the point where she might actually come away with medals at the Paris Olympics. She's a very special and very talented swimmer.
Yeah, I'm just going through this. She's the fastest seed in the 100 free, the 50 free, the 2 breaststroke. I haven't got to the 100 breaststroke on the start sheet yet. I'm sure she's probably right up there on that.
Yep. Leading away on the 200 IM, ahead of Alex Walsh, who was silver
no
medalist,
slouch.
I think.
No slouch.
Yeah, she was pretty good, So, Kate Douglas is definitely one to watch out for.
Kate Douglas, 5th seed for the 100 breaststroke. So that's going to be the most, no, that's not the most interesting race of her week. The 100 free is pretty pretty stacked when you throw in
it is,
Gretchen Walsh, Tori Husk.
Yeah, there's a few names.
Oh my god, the names are nuts. Any other swimmers from the women's side that you want to talk about, Dan?
Well, Tori Husk, I suppose, since you just said her name.
Okay.
I think the 100 fly is going to be quite an interesting one. You just sort of alluded to Gretchen Walsh, who has had a stunning NCAA season. I've actually recorded a video on the Americans and what we should be looking forward to for trials, kind of like what we're doing here. And I couldn't quite get the words out of how good her NCAA season was, because she was hitting records all over the place.
Yeah.
In every event, almost everything she was doing. So she's one to watch out for on the sprint events, fly and freestyle. But I think Tori Husk, I've always kind of thought that she might get a world record in this 100 fly.
Yes, so here we go. We're going to talk. We always do this at the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. We always talk bold predictions. So I'm going to throw mine in at this point, and I think Tori Husk goes a world record in the 100 fly.
At these trials?
These trials. She's going to have some competition to make this team. She can't go slow because there's Claire Kazan, Reagan Smith, Gretchen Walsh, and her. And she looked very, very good last year.
She did.
And she's, 0.2 off the world record? It's Sjöström's world record. It's not slow. This, to me, the trials is... This could be where we see some of the swimmers swim faster than at the Olympics. It's the one meet where you're just like, you know what, this could be the one.
Possibly. When they have this pool that they're going to swimming in Indianapolis, that they have these makeshift pools.
Yeah, they are
faster.
So
they are faster because the water is newer, if you like. So it's less.
Is that a thing? Is it not just it's bouncier?
It's bouncier. it's all to do with TDS, total dissolved solids. It's all very scientific, I think. And it has to be deck level, and and it's got to be deep enough. All those sort of things, so you don't have waves coming at you. Blah 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 blah. So I think that will play into their hands definitely. And I kind of agree with you. I don't know if she breaks the world record at trials. I think there's a good chance at going in Paris, maybe in the semi-final when it's not too much high pressure cauldron in the final. But I think to be only 0.2 off is. I
think that surprised me last year. We both knew it was brewing, and then I think you're watching just it's kind of stalled, and then out of nowhere last year she came through with this time and okay.
Yeah, but you remember the Americans get their tapers right every single time, don't they? So I wouldn't put it past her. I wouldn't. Whether she gets it at trials, then I wouldn't be too surprised if she gets it at Paris. Again, not surprised at all. Is she favourite? Let's say she goes and wins the 100 fly at trials. Is she then favourite to win it in Paris?
I don't think Sjöström's swimming 100 fly in.
Yeah,
Paris.
I'm not so sure she is either.
No, I don't think she is. So yes.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah.
While we're talking fly then, and we brought up a name there, should we talk about Reagan Smith? So last week, me and Steve spoke about Kaylee McEwen, at the Aussie trials, and we spoke that you know she's this good because at no point in your mind does it question that she's going to lose the 100 or 200 backstroke to Regan Smith. And Regan Smith is an incredibly good backstroker, but it's just never in doubt. So, is two fly her event going to Paris?
Ooh. Yeah, but then you're contending with Summer McIntosh in a two fly,
who I think might be slightly more beatable than Kaylee McEwen.
Ooh.
That's a fun debate for you. Sleep deprived mind. I don't know if anyone beats Kaylee McEwen in anything right now.
Even a 200 IM. I mean, she just went a 206.6. Yeah, that's the fastest in the world this year. Yeah, that's not bad, is it? Do you know what, actually? Because we always talk about the bold predictions, and I said to you that my bold prediction is going to come in this women's backstroke. And I'll throw it your way, and you're probably going to disagree with me based on what you've just said. I think Regan Smith is going to hit a faster time than what Kaylee has just done. So basically, she's going to be there or thereabouts on
That's
or just below
world record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Kaylee's just...
Yeah.
No, I disagree. Yeah,
it's going to be close because she's gone 57.5, I think, this year, which is there or thereabouts again.
She has. For some reason, I look at it. I'm just like the two fly looks like the better chance of a gold medal for her. I don't know why. Just Katie.
And she has gone actually a 2.3 before, hasn't she? Whereas Summer's just gone 2.4.
I think,
if I'm correct in saying that.
I'm sure someone in the comments on YouTube will
correct. Yeah, let us know. But yeah, yeah. I think she's got a better chance in the 100 backstroke over the 200 backstroke. I think Kaylee has just got that.
I'd agree.
200 fly, it all depends on how well Summer does, because of course she's going to do the 400 IM, 200 fly, 200 IM, relays, all sorts, So it depends how she does, but she's young enough to recover quick enough. I mean, Regan Smith's only 22, so she could recover as well. But
she's only 22.
Yeah.
She has been around for ages.
Ages. So yes, I've just talked myself into probably agreeing with you here, actually. So yeah, possibly. I think she'll do all of them, obviously, because I think she's favourite for a silver medal in all of the races that she does, actually.
Yeah. So in the two fly, she's gone a 2:03.8.
Yeah.
I just, personally, for me, that feels like the gold out of all of her events, which is weird to say because the backstroke is there, but the backstroke hasn't quite clicked since she won that first world title when it goes to a major meet, has it?
Yeah, when was that? That was 2019, so that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
My God, 5 years ago.
I know.
Jeez.
So your bold, are you changing your bold prediction, or are you sticking with it?
I'll stick with it.
Okay.
No, I'll stick with it. I went quite bold on the Aussie podcast, didn't I, with the Chalmers one as well. So,
at the time of recording this, we're still waiting to see.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see. Yeah, so I'll stick with it. I think she'll go there or thereabouts on or just below the world record in that 100 backstroke.
Oh, see, I think... No, she's never getting near the world record in the two fly, is she? That's just...
Oh, no, that's one of the hardest ones to get. I don't think anyone's getting that for a while.
I reckon she was like 2.4 in the two fly. She hasn't actually got that much competition in it, so...
No.
She should be all right.
Qualifying's not a problem, obviously, for her.
No. Other backstrokers, though, because there will be some competition to make that. Like, the reason Regan Smith hasn't really swam 100... She missed out on the two-back several times going to like a Worlds, didn't she?
She did,
because there is like a huge depth of backstrokers behind her. So you've got like Rayan White, Smaliga,
Phoebe Baker, who's there. Yeah.
Catherine Burkhoff.
Yeah.
By no means is she like guaranteed to even win that 100 back at trials.
No, I think she's favourite to do it. I've put Catherine Burkhoff as a bit of a dark horse. I think Claire Kazan is the favourite to be in the top two, I would say.
Claire Kazan's like a Tory Husk, but 0.2 slower right now.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah. And she's quite solid on order strokes as well. Freestyle fly, backstroke.
She's got so many opportunities this week. Hopefully she can get on the team.
Yeah. Oh, I think she'll definitely be on the team. I just don't know what races. Maybe all of them. I'm not quite sure. But Regan definitely goes in favourite for all the backstrokes and that 200 fly, of course, as well.
Can Lily King get back to her podium level in the breaststroke? Because she's got 2 Olympic podiums to her name and a gold in Rio as well, I believe.
Yeah, it's a different kind of mindset, I think, because she went into the last trials, the Olympic trials, as the Olympic champion, and she's still a world record holder, and the big I am. Whereas now the kind of roles are reversed because you've got Lydia Jacobi now as the Olympic champion, and I wonder if the mindset will actually help her to try and get one over on her again. There's no question that both those two will be on the plane to Paris in the 100.
Steady.
Oh, am I wrong?
Kate Douglas is swimming it. Although she's a 106. She's more like 2, isn't she?
The Jacobi and King, I think, are going 65s, at least.
Yeah, but there's other 65 swimmer, Caitlin Dobler. I'll be honest, I don't know who she is. Personally, I don't know enough about American swimming, but she's not, I wouldn't say it's guaranteed 1-2.
No,
yeah, maybe.
Obviously nothing is guaranteed.
I think I would be surprised if it wasn't those two.
Yes, yeah, maybe that's the wording we should have used. It's nothing is guaranteed because any DQ could happen, any false start, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyone could have an absolutely blinding swim, but I think those two are the two favourites for that 100 breaststroke. Kate Douglas then, obviously, for the 200, as well as Lily King. But yeah, you spoke about Lily King, and I just think the mentality might have to change just because Jacobi is effectively the number one swimmer, not based on PB, but based on Olympics, I suppose.
I'm actually struggling to grasp worldwide what the 100 breaststroke is at. So Tatiana Schoonemaker is one of the leading
64,
swimmers, isn't it? Do you hear the story about Lara Van Niekerk? She can't actually go to the Olympics.
I didn't actually know. What's the story there?
She set 2 qualifying swims at 2 South African meets, which turned out not to be ratified by World Aquatics, so she can no longer go to the Olympics, even though she is an incredibly fast swimmer.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is there no other way that she can go to another meet and just try and hit times?
I don't think so.
Oh,
She's put an announcement out saying she can't do it. So I'm struggling to gauge where the level is for 100 breaststroke. So Tess Shooten as well, in the 100. She's going to be doing well.
Yep.
Has Angharad Evans suddenly thrown her name into it? I think she probably has.
Well, 65 mid is good going. But I said to you when we speak every day that we do, I think a 64 is now a podium, but I think you have to go 64 to hit the podium. So I think there's going to be 3 girls that go 64.
Yeah.
Can Angharad get there? Then amazing. Got to find another half second. She did that literally a couple of weeks ago.
What was she come January? She was 107.
Yeah, I know.
She's dropped 2 seconds in 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely flying. So, and that goes for Lily King, Lydia Jacobi as well.
Yeah.
More than a good chance of making a podium again.
I guess actually thinking elsewhere, you got Ruta, you've got Palato. Yeah, there's some good names in there.
There's some names. Yeah.
Okay. That is, broadly speaking, I think from our terms, the women's side covered. Unless there's any more you want to throw into there, Dan?
No, I think we've covered most. We kind of, we talked about
we can't cover
Walsh,
every single.
we can't cover every summer, but I think we've covered the major summers, shall we say.
Okay, so let's go through then the men's side of American swimming, because there's a lot of British interest along with just worldwide. Looking forward to seeing where they're at. And we started with Katie Ledecky in the women's side, so let's go back to the Florida Gators and talk about Dressel. So he's on his road to comeback. He's had, how long out, Dan? It's been 2 years from a major.
The best part of 2 years.
He was back a bit last year, but not fully firing.
Yeah.
He has looked fast in patches this year.
Yeah.
The 100 fly at these trials, is he a sure thing to make the team? He should. No?
I don't think he's a sure thing.
Oh, actually, I've just seen the start list. He's third fastest. There are some names here.
There's the 100 fly is an interesting one because, of course, you got what's his name? Dare Rose is probably the one favourite guy going in. Shane Cassis is obviously quite solid. I don't know if Michael Andrews going to do it. I don't think he is.
Yeah, he's 9th seed. So.
Is he? I don't know. I'm not quite sure he makes this team, unfortunately. He's just a 50 specialist.
That was going to be my other bold prediction, but I'm not sure if that's nice being a negative one, but I thought Michael Andrew might miss.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. If it's Worlds, then he makes a team absolutely no problem for pretty much every 50. But going back to Dressel here, the 100 free as well is just a big ask. He's more than capable, obviously. But when it comes to even a 50 free, 100 free is tough. I think his best shot is the 100 fly.
Do you know what?
He's got to get past Casas or Thomas Heilman, who's another name.
I was going to say Thomas Heilman's one I'm keeping an eye on because he's a youngster who will be making big drops everywhere. The 2 fly is definitely his.
I think so.
In.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dressel. The one thing I've got backing up Dressel is worldwide, Gators have shown up. So if we just think British trials, Johnny Marshall, 100 backstroke, showed up.
Yeah,
showed up big time. We talk Canadian trials, Josh Liendo showed up big time on the 100 fly. He is going to be in that squad with, we presume, in the squad with Caeleb Dressel.
Yeah.
I would expect Caeleb Dressel to show up, and I really wouldn't put it past him going 50 low.
No, I mean, what has he got? He's so far. What's he gone this year so far? 50.8. So yeah, it would have been his capabilities to go in 50 point low, of which then that's probably good enough for a top 2 spot. With I would say Dare Rose. Because Shane Casas then goes on the backstrokes and the IMs as a more of a focus for him, I would say.
Yeah, I think Hellman's one to really keep an eye on. He's youngsters,
200 especially.
Youngsters are dangerous because they can just drop all over the place. I want to see what Dressel's going to do in the 50 free. That's what you've talked 100, you talked 100 fly 50, just because we've kind of seen Cam McAvoy's Achilles heel is a fast starter next to him.
True, yes.
I would love for him to have Dressel and Ben Proud next to him in that 53 final, and man, that would be a race.
Can you imagine that? That'd be so good. Yeah, and actually, looking at the start sheet here, he's actually going in as 5th fastest.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
Man, that's tough. I mean, you look at the names, Ryan Held, who is an out-and-out 50 specialist, I would say. Jack Alexi, who is, I think, better at the 100, but he's very good at the 50. Mike Andrew, we've spoken about already. Matt King, and then it's Dressel. Brooks Curry as well. There's a number of swimmers that can go sub-22 here. Very exciting race. But again, can the start... No, he is the best starter, obviously, but then can he hold his speed on the swim phase to then land a top 2 finish? It's got every chance of doing it.
I really want him there.
Yeah, no, I want him there as well. I suppose his not guaranteed. That I keep using the word guarantee. It's not guarantee, but he's probably as well as the 100 fly individually. But if he goes for the 100 free as part of the relay, I think he's got a good shot of making top 6. I
get that, and the 100 free is we're going to have a lot of eyes on because of what British swimming did at their trials and how fast everyone went there.
Yes.
But Dressel's 10th seed heading in.
Yes.
Free. You've got Jack Alexi, Chris Giuliano, Ryan Held, Hunter Armstrong.
Yes,
everyone wants to be on that relay. It's a relay event. Brooks Curry, Justin Ress, McDuff, who's another Florida guy.
Yeah.
I actually think that's an incredibly tough ask for him to get on that team. That might be the more impressive. If out of all of these, if he gets on the team for the 100 free, even the relay spot might be the most impressive swim of a comeback.
Do you reckon? Yeah, tough one. Because it's deep, isn't it? When they're all going, pretty much, they're all going sub 48s as well, roughly speaking. I'll throw this at you, actually. What time do you think it will be to hit a top 2 spot?
In the 100?
Yeah, 100 free.
Second, I reckon it'll be a 47.4.
Oh, it's quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Dressel's going that quick. He'll go sub 48, I think, but it will only just be like 47.8 or 47.9.
Are we being a bit naive here? Because people around the world, like with Adam, would have doubted how fast Adam could go on his comeback, and he went at 57.
Yeah, and he didn't do too bad, did he, to be fair?
Are we doubting the greatness of Dressel here?
I think it's not negative, because I just don't know what he's going to do, but I think
Are you trying to be pessimistic?
Yeah, and then when he actually goes and does it, we're like, yes, kind of sort of celebrating. I think he's going to be on a team. I think the 100 fly is going to do it for him. I think he will be good enough to hit a top 6, because he is a racer, let's not forget. He will race and try and do his best, obviously, like they all will, but I think he's definitely good enough for a top 6, which will get him a place on the relay. But he's got some names to get past as well.
Yeah, he does. I've just very quickly seen Thomas Hellman's entry time. Given the state of Millac and where Millac's at right now, and Marchand might swim the 2 fly as well, there is a strong chance that Hellman might go in. He could produce something that puts him one of the favourites for Paris in the 2 fly. It's kind of like old school Phelps-esque, the way he's coming through.
Well, he's beating all of Phelps's records, isn't he? So, yeah. Carson Foster, because that's the name underneath his name in the 200 fly there. I actually haven't really seen him swim, or haven't seen him do any
Worlds.
sort of
He was at
rapid
Worlds.
times. So yeah, he goes in favour for that 200 fly. This is a huge tangent off Dressel, isn't it? Yeah, I think he goes in as favourite, and then Carson Foster might give him a run for his money, but I don't know what Carson Foster's going to be focusing on, because he's got a decent 2-3 on him and he wants to be part of that relay, I'm sure. And then the 2 IMs as well, this 2 fly. Yeah, he's going to be a busy bee for that week.
Okay, so let's talk men's 2-3 while we're looking at freestyle relays over in America with British interest. So today, time recording, the Aussie trials have happened. The 2-3 over there wasn't anything special. Personally, like, being blunt and honest, Jimmy Guy would have won that by half a second, and he finished 4th at our trials.
Yeah.
So the challenge for Britain is likely, I mean, the Chinese are still going to be pretty good, is likely to come from America in the 4x2.
So. Yes.
So in terms of what should British fans be looking out for the top 4 swimmers to start sitting up and being like, okay, it's not a straight gold here. I think we need the first place swimmer to be a low 144 to be concerned.
Yeah, I think to be concerned, you got 3 of them going 144s, but I don't think that's going to happen. I have a feeling 2 of them might go 144s, which still might make us sit up a little bit, but then the other 2 might be high 45s, which then won't be as concerning as a British point of view, from a British point of view.
Maybe this puts into perspective how good that race was at trials. When you're looking at the times that were done at trials, you're thinking, like, Matt's probably going into the Olympics talking 143s, maybe low 144s.
That would be his aim. Yeah,
Duncan looked incredibly good at trials.
Yep.
So I wouldn't put him past the low 144s. I spent a session at Bath this weekend. Dino is looking good.
Yep.
And Jimmy's Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we need 3 144s and a low 144 to win to start sitting up and being concerned. If they go 2 144s and 2 low 145s, we've got a race on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a race then. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, looking at these times, the top 4, so Drew Kibler's then the 4th fastest going in with a 145.6.
These aren't PBs, though. They're entry times. Jimmy went a 145.2.
Yeah, see, that's good for our slowest swimmer, let's say.
I know.
That's quite good going. But Luke Hobson and Kieran Smith, I think, will be the ones to hit their 44s.
Oh, you reckon? I
think
going to
so.
throw Carson Foster ahead of Kieran Smith.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Carson Foster's the 2 IM speed carries through to this.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I actually don't know what his best event is, Carson Foster.
2 IM.
Do you reckon 2? 4 maybe? Not quite sure.
4's a bit like, yeah, maybe 4.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
quite
you
sure.
might be right there. 4, I think he's a little bit ahead of the likes of Max Litchfield and Lewis Kleber, isn't he? Whereas the 2, you could see Duncan.
Oh, it's just a deep event, like the women's actually. It's like not quite as deep as the women's, but the men's side of 200 IM is deep as well. Yeah, I don't think the Brits will be too concerned either way. Whatever happens, to be fair,
You reckon?
they're all going to aim for their 44s, and if all 4 of our guys go 44s, then we should be okay. But you never know. They gave us a good run for our money at last Worlds, didn't they? So yeah.
I'd kind of like to see the Americans on a par heading into the Olympics, because that world record needs to go, like that relay. And I think the only way, or the way, the Brits get there is with an American team on their shoulder.
Yeah.
We haven't talked much about backstroke then, and like we've just done with the 4x2, let's talk backstroke in terms of British swimming, because Ollie Morgan went a 52.7 at trials.
He did.
He is currently the 5th fastest swimmer in the world. One of those swimmers ahead of him is a Russian, who I presume is not swimming at the Olympics. I don't think, unless I've misunderstood the situation that's going on there. One of the swimmers is Hunter Armstrong, so I don't think that changes. I think he probably stays faster than where Ollie is at this point in the season. Ryan Murphy isn't faster at this point, but I think come these trials, he will be another swimmer who's just a little bit below what Ollie can do. So Ollie goes into Olympics 5th
Yeah,
potentially
roughly
fifth
speaking.
fastest heading in for the 100 back, which is nuts.
Especially when that was our weakest leg for so many years, and then suddenly
not
now Ollie's just dropped that time, and we're going in like potentially finishing that backstroke leg like top 3 potentially. So very exciting from the British medley relay point of view, especially with Adam doing what he's doing right now. But this backstroke has always been a strong stroke for America.
Yeah.
Both men's and women's. I mean, you look at the names here, obviously Ryan Murphy, Hunter Armstrong, you've just said, but Justin Ress, Dustin Lasgo, there's a few good names here that you've got to try and squeeze 4 into 2. I agree with you. I think Murphy and Armstrong are the 2 favourites to fill those top 2 spots, but it's not going to be straightforward.
It's a done deal?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it kind of was, but maybe I'm underestimating the challenge behind.
I still definitely think they're the top 2 to go. I would be surprised if it wouldn't. I would be surprised if it wasn't them that didn't go. But I do think Justin Ress puts up a big battle, especially like he's going to test them on that first 50, and if he can then hold on, then who knows what can happen. I honestly think Hunter Armstrong will win this, and I think he's the new number 1 backstroker for America.
See, I was just about to ask you, is Ryan Murphy's target the 2?
Oh. I think he just wants to go for both, ultimately. Yeah, but he turns up every time he goes to Olympics, especially for the relays. He turns up and he throws out like high 51 or low 52 every single time. He's a big-time swimmer.
Yeah.
So I would never put it past him to do anything, to be honest with you. But I think the baton is slowly passing to Hunter Armstrong at this point now. And he's the number 1.
Yeah, I'll disagree. I think Ryan Murphy still wins both and still sets... Oh, I don't think he sets the fastest time in the world in the 100, because that is a 52.0.
Yeah,
that's fast.
Quick, isn't it?
2, I think I could see him going pretty fast. Okay, then that kind of leaves us with the breaststroke, Dan. Nick Fink. Interesting to see where he's at, because, well, he's been a podium challenger for a little while now in the 100. I'm not sure he targets the 2 at this meet. I think he just goes for the 100.
Do you reckon? I think he'll do both races, and I think he'll qualify for both races, but I'm more interested, and I'm kind of leaning to what you're saying here, that the 100 is much more appealing. He's getting better and better. I think he might be one of those swimmers, whether it be at trials or whether it be at the Olympics, where he will join Adam, Kaminga, Ching Haiyang as the 4th swimmer to go sub 58. I think he's got that in his capabilities. Yeah.
I don't think he does it at these trials. There's not quite the competition.
Yeah, I think he'll do it. He's more likely to do it at Paris, I think, than at trials. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does, because I think he's a big threat to that podium when it comes to the 100 breaststroke. And it'd be interesting to see how he approaches it, whether he actually targets the 100 more so than the 200. I'm not quite sure.
And going back to your earlier point with Michael Andrew, I think the 100 breaststroke is his only shot at getting on. It's his best shot at getting on.
Best shots, yeah. Well, that
maybe
or the 53.
Maybe
yeah.
the 53.
Just because the 53, anything can happen. But yeah, the 100 breaststroke. But then you've got, I know like Cody Miller's going again as a final hurrah. Not quite sure. Jake Foster is someone who's starting to come through, but I think he might be better at the 200 more so than the 100. But Nick Fink is the one to watch on the breaststroke front. Yeah.
Actually, we haven't mentioned, while we're speaking Fink, we haven't talked about Bobby Fink in the 8 and the 15. I don't think he's going to have too many troubles at these trials. I think it's straightforwards, a bit like Ledecky in the distance. But come Olympics, I'm looking forward to those battles with Sam Short, Dan Whiffen,
the mega race,
Wellbrook, whoever the hell qualifies. That is, it's still one of the races of the Olympics for me.
It's just a massive shame that Hafnui's not doing the Olympics, so it loses a little bit of specialness. But I think Bobby Fink is definitely the one to watch out for, both 8 and 15. I don't think he's actually recorded times that are like in the top 10. I don't think just yet. But I assume he's one of those swimmers that have the ones who's worked through and had training blocks ready for trials and then subsequently the Olympics as well. So he's definitely one to beat, surely.
Okay, so that kind of rounds up our broad overview of the US Olympic trials. I think what would be really cool, like rounding out all of the preview podcasts heading into the Olympics, like trial-wise, would be predictions heading into the US trials. So head over to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast YouTube channel, find this video if you're listening on an audio platform, and go put your bold prediction. And go bold. Like, we'll give it a rating out of boldness. Like Dan level Kyle Chalmers, sub 47.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to go bold. There's no fun in being like, oh, I think Regan Smith's going to win the 200 fly. Like, let's go a little bit out there, you know? So, leave your predictions in the comment below. We've seen some predictions on Twitter, actually. Yeah. I know Carl Sockwell was quite good at doing those predictions, as well as some other guys. So, yes, leave your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah, and we will... Yeah, we'll give you a ranking, like how good we think that is and how bold you've gone. And like, it's got to be bold, but slightly realistic. Like, you can't suddenly say... suddenly say, like, Kate Douglas gets 100 breaststroke world record. Like, just... Yeah, that's like... You've got to give it
some
reasonable context.
Context. Yeah.
Okay, so that just about rounds up this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. Dan, it's been very, very good to have you back. Next week, we are going to be reviewing the Aussie trials, which, as you may have noticed as we're talking through this podcast, have been fast.
It's only been 2 days.
2 days and almost 3 world records have gone just already. Manic, they've got a 5,800 breaststroker as well we got to talk about.
Yeah, we've got to talk about that.
I'm definitely looking forward to that podcast next week. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And me and Dan will see you in 7 days.
Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone. And we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.